Hi, folks. David here. And what I want to do today, just for a few minutes, is take you through the course outline for POLS 3101, the Canadian Constitution. For those of you who've done my courses before, and certainly last fall, there'll be a lot of similarities, but some significant differences here with the outline and the course to come. You have my email contact information here. Much of what you'll be doing through the course, we'll be communicating via email. You've got a basic description of the course, some key points dealing with COVID-19 and some differences here with this course compared to previous back in the fall. Everything is asynchronous, that we won't be online at the same time, and you'll be accessing information through the class Moodle site. So get used to using the Moodle site. There's lots of information up there already, and there'll be more added week by week as the course goes on. Now, a couple of differences here now. There is no term test and also now no final exam. No final exam for the course. So you'll see on page 4 of the outline, class participation will account for 60% of your mark. That will be divided up into 4 letters to the prof exercises. Now, those of you who are taking my courses in the fall, you'll be familiar with the letters to the prof exercise, but I've tinkered with them a little bit. You'll do 4 letters to the prof. You'll find more write-up about the letter to the prof exercise on the Moodle site. But just here, you'll be doing 4 letters to the prof, 3 to 5 pages. Not long, but I want really good writing from you and commentary from you. And now these have different weights. The first letter will be worth 5%, the second 15%, the third 25% of the total mark, and the fourth 15%. So these 4 letters account for 60% of the class mark. The other 40% is the essay, the standard term research paper. The second and third letters to the prof will be you writing me about your planned essay and the essay you're planning to do and how you're thinking about it, how you're researching it. And these letters will give me a chance to give you feedback on your essay and your planning for the paper. So you also have basic information in the outline about the expectations and learning outcomes through the paper. Key texts, Peter Russell, Constitutional Odyssey. Peter Russell was my PhD supervisor, and I've been the first course I've ever taught was this course, the Canadian Constitution, and I've been teaching it ever since for some 27 years. Peter Russell is now retired, but he's a wonderful writer, wonderful commentator. So get your hands on a copy of Constitutional Odyssey, available through the CBU bookstore, available online, new or used. Get yourself a copy of Constitutional Odyssey. A few other books mentioned as optional readings. Peter Hogg, Constitutional Law of Canada, that's available at CBU and in most any library. And Patrick Monahan, Constitutional Law, again. And another one you may want to pick up, My Battle Royal, the history of the monarchy in Canada and the debate between monarchists and republicans on the future of the crown in Canada. This is optional, but if you're interested, pick it up. It's available at the CBU bookstore, also available online, new or used. There's information in the outline on plagiarism and essay writing, proper essay writing style. Most of you now are familiar with how to do proper essay writing and proper academic citations, but it's always good to refamiliarize yourself with MLA style or APA style. And so just Google, MLA style manual, APA style manual, and you'll get tons of information on how to do academic citations. They're not hard, but you have to use them. You have to do them, and you'll get used to them. People have problems though when they don't use proper academic citation and proper essay writing style. And then you'll have commentary on plagiarism, what it is and why it is so bad and why it is so important to learn how to do all of this correctly. So we move on to the actual week by week flow of the course. Again, this is week 1, and then the course is divided up into weeks. There are 13 weeks in the term with the one reading week break in middle of February. So week 1, it's a basic introduction to the course. Week 2, we look at early indigenous history, indigenous peoples and their first constitutions, and how those constitutions actually have a legacy living on in the country to this day. And certainly indigenous policies and issues and problems with the settler community dealing with indigenous peoples, those problems live on and are to be current, unfinished business in Canada to this day. We'll also take a look at the early British colonial system in Canada from the conquest of New France in 1759 up through the 1850s. We'll take a look at early colonial politics in the country and tensions between French and English, and also tensions between people looking for greater democratic rights and the British government restricting those quests for greater liberal reform. But we do look at the slow evolution of self-government in Canada, largely achieved in 1867. And we'll have some commentary. I'll have some commentary on the similarities between British colonial rule here in Canada compared to India and other colonies of the British Empire. And if you're familiar with the British colonial rule in India, you'll see some similarities, India to the history of the Canadian colonies, but also of course, some significant differences. The British were prepared to give Canada essentially largely self-government by 1867. And then we'll be looking at why the British were unwilling to grant that type of self-governing status to colonies like India and other African colonies and Asian colonies. I'm sure some of you will know why, but we'll talk about that. Week 3, we'll take a look at the Constitution Act of 1867. I have provided a link on the Moodle site to the actual constitutional documents of 1867, the Constitution Act of 1867, and the Constitution Act of 1982. So download those. I suggest you download those so you have a copy of them. You'll be wanting to follow along as I'm talking through those issues and talking about provisions of the Constitution in week 3. So in week 3, we'll take a look at the Constitution Act of 1867, and it is surprising to look at, but I'll help you read through the act. Week 4, we take a look at week 4 and 5, we take a look at constitutional conventions. These are not conventions like the big gathering of political parties to select a leader, but an older meaning of the word convention conventional practices, conventional behavior, conventional values, unwritten rules and principles and customs by which a people live and by which a country is governed. We'll see there are all sorts of conventional principles that never get written into the formal text of a constitution, but are simply understood, practices that are understood. So we'll take a couple of weeks looking at constitutional conventions. Week 6 and 8, with the reading week in between, we'll be taking a look at the history of constitutional amendment in Canada from 1867 up to 1982, and the tension between provinces and the federal government, and eventually how we came to 1982 and the 1982 Constitution, the last time the Canadian Constitution was formally amended. And we'll take a look at all the politics of that. Week 9, we take a look at attempts to amend the Constitution post 1982, the Meech Lake Accord and the Charlottetown Accord. Peter Russell takes you through an awful lot of that here. I will too. And then we come to the end. We'll take a look at Quebec, current ongoing issues with Quebec, current federal provincial relations, and where we're at now. So that's the course. And get the books, get the books, download your copies of the Constitution Acts of 1867 and 1982, and I'll be coming your way again shortly. In the meantime, stay safe, take care, and get into the course materials. Good. See you.